Well, good morning, everybody. It's good to see friends and family and financial gurus here. This is one of my first live webinars that I've done probably in a very long time. And so I reached out to Matt and Jeremy and said, hey, you know what I'm pretty good at is showing people how to use tools and technology and things like that. And, we're getting a lot of great new people into the community. But one thing that we get a lot of questions on is the charting software that real life trading uses right now, which is TradingView. And some of you that are new may have not come from a stock trading or technical analysis background, or if you have, you've maybe used some other tool, and now you're coming and using this, online charting software, and you're like, what is this thing? How do I use it? So anyway, so what I'm here to do is to kind of walk everybody through, the basics of TradingView that we use right now at Real Life Trading. And so the first thing that I will say is if you haven't got an account with TradingView, you can get a free one. You don't have to pay to use TradingView, although I will show you in just a minute that it's pretty advantageous to go ahead and pay for a pro account or a pro plus account, but you can get started for free with TradingView. I'm already signed up here under this demo account up here in the let me see if I can get the learn how to use annotations like you guys do here. Here we go. So like right up here, if you can see, I'm already signed in. Okay. So if you see a sign in button, then you'll want to go ahead and sign in or create an account. Okay. And go ahead and get that saved, because the reason you want to do that is so you can save your charts and your analysis and things like that for later use. Okay, so the main page of TradingView is pretty cool. I'll give you just a brief history of where TradingView came from before we jump in here. TradingView back in the day, I'd say about 10 years ago, it's maybe not that long, really transformed the way that we do charting software, because it was one of the first that allowed a very fluid experience on the internet. Before TradingView, and this goes back before even real life trading began, and Jeremy and I, we're working in another company, we were using just desktop software to do our charting analysis. And you can still use that, obviously. There's a lot of power in using desktop software. But the problem is that it wasn't very mobile. You couldn't get to it from anywhere in the world. And let's just admit, the other problem with it is that it only runs on PCs. You didn't hear me say that. So, and I'm, Mac guy, and so I was always having problems. I think MotiveWay was the only one that I could find back when I was starting to do technical analysis. Was the only one that could really run on a Mac, unless you use some kind of a virtual system. So when TradingView came along, it was revolutionary at the time. The only charting software that you had that you could use that was online was real staticky, if that's a word. You could do basic technical analysis, and you had to run in Flash or Java or one of those things, and it was just kind of clunky. So I'm not here to preach on TradingView about how great it is or everything. I'm just kind of giving you a history of that. It really started this forward progression of um, creating innovative trading software, which is now picked up, and you've got TrendSpider, and you've got like Matt's talking about, TrendSpider's now a partner. You've got Wealth Charts. There's some other ones out there that are starting to come along, and they're taking the baton and really coming up with some cool stuff with automation, auto fib lines, and TradingView is kind of adding that now. But I would say TradingView, for the most part of what I've seen, is really the most fleshed out. It's got the most features of the online charting software, which is why we kind of stick with it for right now. But we're open to options and looking at other things as well. Okay, so let's dive in, because obviously we want to know, how do you use TradingView, in real life. We're just going to keep this as a basics webinar. We're not going to jump into any advanced stuff. We can maybe do that later and dig in with that. But for most part, when you're here on the home page, you see this button right here in the middle called chart. Okay, if you don't have a chart, it's going to ask you to create a new one. And now the free account, which is what I'm using with the demo, only gives you one layout. Okay, and when you click create a new chart, that's all you're going to be able to do, is really look at one chart, add your drawings in, add your analysis, and save that one chart. And it's already, if you look up here, let's see if I can get this to work. Yeah, right here. So where it says unnamed, that's the default that I believe it gives you when you first open up a new chart. And you can rename it by pulling this little button down and go into rename and things like that. But if you try to load another chart or create a new chart layout after this, it's going to tell you that you can't do it. Okay, and it wants you to upgrade. I'm going to stay on this free one for just a little bit because I want you to see what you do get with the free version of TradingView, but I'm going to flip over to mine, which is a paid version, because I don't want to have to keep I don't have to keep canceling out of these ads and these pop-ups, but I do want to start from here for those that are new to TradingView, so you kind of see what you do get with the free version. Okay, and here's an ad that just popped up, so I'm gonna click that. Okay, so we're into the chart. Okay, and it does save it for you automatically, like I showed up here. There's a little checkbox up here in the cloud. So this is all saved into the cloud. Everything's kind of going to the cloud nowadays. So you don't have to remember to save your chart. You know, it does it for you, but you can click the pull down and hit the save now if it hasn't done it. Right now, it saves it every 2 minutes. If you're really anal and you want to do it every minute, you can click on save now, or you can click the shortcut, which is Control and the S key. Okay, it's like when you're in a Word document, you can quickly save, you know, hit the Control and S button. So that way you make sure that you don't lose anything if your browser crashes or whatever. Okay. So what I'll start off with, let me get the little tool here, is we're going to start off with how do we first of all make this area look like how we want it to look. Okay. And then after that, we'll kind of go from left, start up here. We'll kind of start talking about, we've touched on a little bit of this up here. We'll kind of start from left to right and talk about the toolbar at the top. I think that's the most obvious thing to do next. Then I think we'll go into the drawing tools in our third part, kind of make sure everybody knows where the drawing tools are, how we use them at real life trading and things like that. And then if we have time, I'll kind of touch on this area over here on the right. And if we really have time, I'll go down here to the stock screener, the text notes, and the trading panel. I'd like to show the trading panel because there's a way that you can do paper trading in TradingView without needing to do a broker. And I'll try to get on that, but if not, we'll save that for another time. Okay. Okay. So the first thing you want to do when you pull up a chart is you want to click on this little gear. And I'm going to try my little drawing tool again here. Okay, this little thing right there. Okay. The reason I say that is because this is going to influence a lot of what you see here visually on the chart. Okay, so if we click on that, click on again, sorry. Okay, this is your chart settings. Okay, by default, TradingView sets everything to green and red, which is fine. Some people like that. You know, Jeremy likes black and white candles, you know, whatever. It could be purple and violet. I don't remember, purple and indigo. I don't know. You can make it anything you want. Okay, to do that here, the bodies of the candles, the green is going to be what do you want your up days to show, or up when the price is increasing. And this second one where the red is, what do you want the body of the candle to look like when the price is going down? Okay, so that's how you can set up things like the white candles and the black candles. The border is what do you want it to look like around the body of the candle. Okay, yeah, it look kind of weird with a green body, so I'm gonna make those borders black. I just like everything to be black around the border. So you can see here on the chart, it's doing it in real time. Now the wicks are still green and red, so we'll want to change the color of those. And we're just gonna make the wicks, both of them, black. Okay. And there, now you can kind of see our charts coming together and looking like, you know, some people in real life trading like to do with their charts. Okay. Okay, so we'll kind of keep going down through here. The last value line that you see right here is where you can see when you see the price on the chart moving up and down when the market's on or when it's open. That's what you can set the color to that to be whenever the market is open and you want to see what the last price is for a particular ticker that you're looking at. Okay, extended hours we'll get into in just a bit. That's one thing I do want to make sure I covered is how do you get extended hours turned on. Right now, if you look up here, I'm on a weekly chart with Apple. When I change that to something under a day, like a 5 or 15 minute, then we'll be able to adjust the extended hours. And this is really just the extended hours color. What do you want the background color to look like when you're looking at the extended hour? The precision, I've never really messed with that. that's kind of too geeky for me. And in the time zone, it keeps it in UTZ, which is the universal time. I like to keep it at New York so that I know based on the exchange, or you can put on the exchange time. But I like to put it on the New York time just so that I know officially what it is in New York, where the markets when they open and close. That's just me. You could choose something different. So I'll go down here to the next thing with chart setting, which is the status line. And this is kind of getting into more of how do you want things labeled. I'll get into that a little bit later. So I'm not gonna stay here for very long, but this is how you can do some of the descriptions and stuff, open, high, low, close values, which affects this area right up here. Okay. The scales is we get a lot of questions about stuff with the scales. Okay, and it's how do I make the bars show the countdown number to when the bar is going to close. So when I'm on a 5-minute chart, rather than me having to look down here at the time and try to calculate how long I have until that bar closes, you can have a little countdown timer come up, and I believe it shows up over here in this on the right scale. It'll show you how many minutes or seconds, whatever time frame you're on is left until the next opening candle or bar is going to show up. Okay, that's that little checkbox right there. Okay. The appearance is more of for if you want to take off that water background where it says Apple 1 week. If that really bugs you, just uncheck mark that, and that gets rid of that. Okay. You can also set session breaks. So the session breaks is, again, that's something you have to go down to, I think, either a daily or under a daily view to see. And that just shows you when the start of one trading day is and the end of another trading day. And it puts these little blue dash lines. I'll show it on my chart when we get into this a little bit later, so you can see what that looks like. And then the trading, we're not going to get into this, but this is if you were going to do some trading within TradingView. And there are some brokers that are supported that I'll try to get to and show you. But this can also be for when you want to set up your paper trading. What do you want it to do? If you want to play a sound when your order gets executed, things like that. And then I'd say not most important, one of the most important things also is the events button. This is where you have down here like the earnings. Do you see right down here? I need to kind of flip back over here so everybody can see where I'm at. Down here at the bottom. So right here, you see a little D behind the E, that's for dividend. This is so you can see when events are going to happen related to the stock you're looking at. When it's going to release earnings, if there's dividends that are going to be given out, if there's a stock split, you can also see that. So those, I believe, by default are checked, but if you don't see them on your chart and you want them to appear, this is where you would get to it under the chart settings, is under the events section. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that, or let me hit OK. Sorry. Go back to mouse. Okay. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over to my login, because right now these ads are going to keep coming up and everything. But needless to say, the free version is going to allow you to save one chart. I think you can only save one indicator template, which I'm going to walk through here in just a second on my login, so we don't have any more things come up that says please pay or please upgrade. There's some other limitations too that if you go here under, I think it's under account and billing. I can put this link in here into the chat so you can kind of compare the different plans. If you're not on a pro or above plan, yeah, here we go. Yeah, I'll put this in here so people can see what the different plans that you can compare to, and you can see here. Of course, getting rid of ads is one of the first things you'll get. Number of devices that are supported, things like that. Okay, so that's another question we get is, what's the advantage of me paying more for TradingView Pro Plus? It's not going to give you data feed like live data. That's something that I'm going to go into. You have to pay for that. If you want the most accurate data, you'll have to pay a separate fee for that. TradingView doesn't make any money off that, or so they say. But that's where I'll show you that so you can see how you get the live data like New York Stock Exchange and things like that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and flip over to my account here. Okay, and so we're on the SPX. Let me go back to Apple so it kind of looks familiar to folks. I think we were on a weekly. Yeah. Okay. So let me look at some questions here. Okay. Woodshed, I believe once you change the colors, that gets changed to that particular, for that layout for all symbols. I don't think you can set a different template. I think if you want to have like one chart be green and red candles, another chart be black and white, then you would save a new layout up here, which would be new chart layout, and then you would create a new chart layout. So a layout um, saves all charts for all symbols and intervals in your layout. So it saves everything, your drawings, your candle colors, and everything into one layout. So it's kind of like having multiple desktops, I guess. You can have your icons arranged differently and things like that, and have, different background like wallpaper and stuff like that. That's how you would do that, is you'd set up another layout. Okay. All right. Cool, 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 cool. All right. So if you've played with TradingView, you'll know how to change the stock symbols. If you're not, then you go up here where I just was up here with AAPL and just click. Okay, and I'm gonna clear this so you can kind of see what it looks like when you first click up here. Okay, and I know this is basic, but I'm really here to show people who are brand new how to do a lot of this stuff, because you really need to get the basics down before you do a whole lot of technical analysis in TradingView. So you can look up a stock either by its ticker, and I believe most people know what a ticker is. It's the 3 or 4 letter symbol that's used on the exchange itself. Okay, if you don't know the ticker of what you're wanting to trade, like what's a good one? Dollar Tree. I'm trying to think of one that I don't. Yeah, okay. So like Dollar Tree, I just typed in the word Dollar Tree, and right there at the very beginning, DLTR is its ticker, and I could have guessed the ticker. But if you don't know what the ticker is, and you say I want to go look at the chart for Dollar Tree for whatever reason, then it should come up and look for it based on its the full name of the company. Okay. What's cool is you can see what exchange that it's on, which is the NASDAQ in America. Sometimes you'll see, like with Apple, it actually, if you're in another country, in America, it's AAPL, but in Germany, it's APC. And so you can see in different countries on different exchanges what the ticker is for particular companies. Also, a company called Apple Hospitality, which you don't want to be trading APLE if you're really wanting to trade, Apple, the iPhone, iPad, computer company. Okay. One thing I also find that people have a hard time with is sometimes they'll accidentally click on one of these other buttons here. Like let's say you're on cryptocurrency. You don't realize you're on cryptocurrency, and it comes up and it says no symbols match your criteria. And it's folks are like, whoa, what's going on? Well, first thing, if you don't find it to begin with, make sure that you're either on all, or if you know it's a stock, make sure you click on stocks so that you're only looking at stocks. I trade a lot of credit spreads on the S&P 500, which is ticker symbol SPX. However, when I first type it in, if I'm on stocks, SPX is Spectrum Metals, and it's in Australia, it's on the ASX. If I go to all, it'll come up, but then there's that same ticker there below it, and of course there's other ones with the symbol SPX. But if I know that it's an index, which the SPX is, if I go over here to index, it's definitely the first one that comes up, and it's the only one with that ticker for SPX. Does that make sense? This is just basic stuff, but it is stuff that people do run into, and it's stuff that I wanted to make sure that we cover in this session. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to escape out of this, or I'm going to go back and just put in Apple so we stay on Apple. Okay. So let's go over here and let's look at the time frames. Now, you may not see all of these showing up on your end and may wonder, and we do this as like, Jason or Jeremy, how do I get the 10-minute to always stay, or the 15-minute to always show up here? So I'm not having to pull this thing down and go find it, or if I have a custom time, I'm not having to go down here and add it in. Well, that's where these little stars come in. You see these little stars, okay? So if you go here and like on the 4-minute, if I put a little star beside it, do you see how all of a sudden that 4-minute is up there? It will stay there until you remove that star beside it. Okay, and now it's gone away. And so I've got a lot of different ones up here just because I look at a lot of different time frames, and it kind of makes it easier for me just to quickly click between these. But that's how you do it, is you just kind of hover your mouse over the time frame that you want and put your star in there, and then it'll add it up there, and it'll always be there. Okay. So let's go down to a daily for Apple, because I'm going to be using that in just a second. Okay. So let's move on here to the right. How did you get the 2 minutes on? You mean the 2-minute chart, Dave? Yep. Okay. So the way I did that is I pulled this little button down here at the very end. So you've got like all these little time frames. You got this little down arrow. Okay. If I click on that, then 2 minutes is there. I may have already typed that in as a custom time at one point. And so if you go down here and you can go to the very bottom and type in, what's one I don't have, like 7 minutes. Let's just put in 7 and then click on add. Then it adds it up here. I think that's what you're getting at. Yeah. So I put the 7 minute here and yeah, type in 2 at the very bottom where it says 7, put a 2. Yep. Okay. You got it. Cool. Yeah. And then anything you've put in the past will appear here. If you don't want that to appear anymore, that little X is right there. I should have talked about that. That gets rid of the ones that you don't use anymore. I do use the 12 minutes. I'm going to leave that there, but that's how you got that. Sorry, I totally skipped that area. How do you actually get those custom frames in there? So good question. Okay. All right, so we'll go over here to the candles next. So I believe TradingView defaults to the candles, which is what we use in real life trading, which is for most technical analysis, you're going to want to use candles. However, I've found that whenever I'm looking at support and resistance, and I think Jeremy has taught this in the past and other folks, you might want to turn on a line chart. Okay, and to get to the line chart, you see mine there. It's because I've already made it a favorite. So just like with the time, if you pull this little bar style button down, you'll see all the different what do you want to call it? Different styles of how you can project price onto the chart. You know, candles, hollow candles. This is Angela's favorite, the Hakanashis, which is, I won't go into how you, what Hakanashis is more of an averaged version of a candlestick, which is great. It gives you a really good trend view of how things are going. And I have that one favorite because sometimes I like to look at the Hakanashis. The line is right here and I've got it starred. So if it's not on yours, okay, like I just took it off of mine up here, the little quick access area, then just put the little star by it and it'll come right back up there, and there it is. And there's other ones that I have no idea what they do, but you can play with them and see for yourself, okay? And so if I'm on a line chart, I just click on that button and all of a sudden now I've got a line chart, and then I can start putting into some support resistance stuff, which I'll get into later with how to put lines on there quickly. Let's undo that right now. Okay, the plus button, which is the compare or add symbol. This is if you want to lay, or I guess overlay another stock on top of I guess the stock that you're currently looking at. I really only use this if I'm wanting to kind of see while I'm looking at Apple, like what the other what the S&P 500 is doing at that time. And so I go here to this compare button, and if you check mark the S&P, which it comes up as a line symbol, and you can change that as well. So you can kind of see how is Apple reacting to what the S&P 500 is doing. As you can see right here, it kind of followed it up until about over here, and then it kind of shot off and the S&P kind of went flat. And that's the only that's really the only time I use that button right there, the compare or add symbol, is when I want to overlay the chart that I'm looking at with something like one of the indices, the Dow or whatever. But you can also add other stocks as well. Okay. What is your opinion on log scaling? Woodshed, I don't use it. I think it's great if you're looking at something like Bitcoin. You're looking at something on a long term, and you want to see, and something that's grown really fast, and you want to have it all on one chart, and you want to put it on a logarithmic type scale. Then you can do that down here in the bottom right with the toggle the log scale. It doesn't really work well on smaller time frames, but if you're in a larger time frame, like if I go to a month, I mean, Apple's been around since way back then. You can see way down here, you can't really see what the price is, but if you turn on the log, then the logarithmic will let you kind of see an overall trend of what's happened with Apple all the way back to 1981. Okay. If anybody else finds a better reason to use log, put it in the chat, but I just don't use it. Yeah, Jeremy says it's cool to see long-term stuff using log to see how it grew, but it doesn't change much on small time. Yep, that's exactly right. Yep. Okay. I was on a daily, sorry. Okay, the next button is really one of the most important on this whole bar besides changing time frame. This is how do I get indicators onto my chart? Moving averages, volume's already on here on mine, but let's get some moving averages on here. Okay, so just click on this little button called FX. Okay, now I've got some favorited ones that I have favorited over time. It defaults to this, but yours probably doesn't show anything, but I'll show you how to add those in just a second. Okay, what you want to do is you want to come over here on the left and click on built-ins. Okay, so there's two ways you can find the built-in indicators that comes with just about any charting software. You can hit built-in and you can kind of scroll down here and find what you're looking for. Okay, so like for instance, I just caught this one. There's MACD. And if I click on it, it puts the MACD on my chart. You see that? Okay. And then I could put that one as a favorite. If I don't want to have to look for it later, you click the little star button. And if I go back up here to favorites, there's MACD now under my favorites. Okay. You can also click on the search box up here. And if you want to find like volume, just start typing in VOLUME and stick with the built-in ones here that are right here. You see where it says built-ins. Okay. So the reason you want to do that is because that TradingView does support a public library, which is cool. And Matt's done a lot of these. People who have created their own indicators, like the Angelo, and some other ones, they will probably be here. If their name has volume in it, you can choose from them. But just don't. If you're just wanting regular, good old-fashioned volume, just stick with anything that's within the built-ins, and right there is volume, and that's how you get volume onto your chart, like I've got it here with Apple. Okay. The rest of this is, like I said, the public library that you can publish to using PineScript. If you want to create your own indicators, we're not going to get into that in this session, obviously. If you create your own, you can put it right here. So yeah, here's one that Matt is an invite-only script that Matt invited me to put on my chart, which is naked put growth indicator. And that just got added because I clicked on it. So there's the naked put indicator that Matt created, and I just put it on my chart because I had it saved here. But it came in as an invite-only script because I asked Matt if I could join it or get it on my chart, and he gave me an invitation, and it just stayed there. Okay. So let's move on here. Fundamental metrics is the next button up here that I'm clicking besides indicators. This is actually kind of cool. Let me get rid of the MACD. So if you want to get rid of an indicator that you've already added, you just go down and hover your mouse over it and just click the X and it'll go away. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I'll get to this just a second. I'll show how to save indicators as a template. But this button right here with the fundamentals, if you click on that, you can kind of start getting into more of the fundamental side. Okay. And so you can look at Apple and you could say, let's see, where is their, look at their short-term debt on an annual basis. That's not really valuable. Let's see, where is their gross sales? Gross profits annually. Okay, so if I click on that, then, and I go out to, I believe it's monthly. Yeah, there we go. You can look at the short-term debt and the gross annual profits over time. And so you can see Apple over time, gross annual profits has just been going up and up and up and up and up, which is cool. And so if you want to add some financial stuff, then you can do that as well in a chart form to your regular charts. Okay. This area right here is where I'm going to slow down a little bit. And this is where, and I don't know why they have it over here. They should have it over here with the indicators. But let me go ahead and add a few more indicators to my chart. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to add in moving averages. And they call them moving average exponential in TradingView. And I'm going to add a couple of those in here. Okay. Let's close that. Well, let's just pretend that this was an EMA 10 and an EMA 20 on our chart. Okay, we clicked on the little gear and we changed the time to EMA 10, EMA 20. Let's say we had an EMA 50. We want to save those as short-term moving average indicators. If you go over here to your indicator templates, you see a whole bunch of them that I've added. This is where you save the indicators that are currently on your chart. Okay, this doesn't save drawings and it doesn't save the chart layout. It just saves what indicators are here. Okay, and so if I save indicator template, I may want to call this short-term EMAs. Okay, and it will save down here. It'll say it's going to include the volume, which I have right here. It's actually an indicator volume, and then 2 EMAs. Okay. If I save the interval, this is key, okay? If I save interval, whenever I choose this template later and I'm on a let's see what I'm on a monthly right now. If I'm on a 5-minute chart and I click on this save interval and right now I'm at a monthly, do you see that where the M is selected? Anytime I bring up that template, it's going to switch me back to a monthly view on Apple. If you don't want that, because obviously this is a short-term EMA, I may want to go ahead and put it on the 5-minute, okay? I don't think it really matters. EMA. Then don't check mark this. If you want to use this on multiple different time intervals, if I want to use it on the 5-minute, the 15, the 30, the hourly, then just don't check mark this. That's another question I've gotten before. Okay, and if I hit save, now this has been saved up here under there it is down here, short-term EMAs. Okay, so if I click and I close out these EMAs, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure why my little gear button's not working. It could be something with Safari, which is why sometimes using Google Chrome is better with TradingView that I have found. Okay, and I get rid of volume, so I have no indicators on my chart. Okay, and I want to quickly add those back. Now that I've saved those as an indicator template, then I go down here, and all those just get added back real quickly. Okay, there's my volume, there's my EMAs, and we're good to go. Now, one thing you may notice is these little buttons right here, C, E, and N. These are my favorited, I guess is a word, my favorite indicator templates. So that these are really quick to get to, and you may see Jeremy click these very quickly, going back and forth, okay? If you want your indicator template to be one of these top 3 up here, then go down here, and just like we've shown in other places, just make sure there's a star beside it. Okay, so if I want that one to be up here, if I click add to favorites, then it's right there. It puts the first letter. Sometimes I think it puts the first letter and the second letter, depending on how much space you've given up here, but there it is right there. So I don't have to click, go down through here and find it real fast. It just puts it right up here as kind of a hot button, I guess is the best word for it. I kind of expected this class to go a little longer than an hour because I really want to make sure everybody is familiar and feels good about TradingView as just the basics, because when you're in the day trading room or the swing trade, everything's moving so fast. You're like, where did he click? What did he do? Well, now you're going to kind of get a feel and go practice afterwards and try this stuff out and, create indicator templates and delete them and just, kind of go through and make sure you get your chart set up the way you want it. It doesn't have to be black and white candles. It doesn't have to be the EMA 20 is the same color as what Jeremy uses. Whatever feels good to you, whatever you like. I like different colors than the next person. It's just my own preference. Okay, and you can set all that up on your own charts. Okay. So the next feature we're going to talk about here is the alert button. Okay, and there's 2 ways to create alerts on your charts. And this is really handy. I can't stress this enough. This is real handy when you want to walk away for the chart, go grab some lunch or whatever, and you want to know when price action is going to cross below or above a certain point. Okay, and you can actually get real fancy with alerts. You can actually set up alerts when the MACD crosses from the slow line to the fast line, to the fast line to the slow line. I'm not going to get into that. That's more of an advanced course, but just know that you can kind of do that if you want to. We're just going to look at price action with setting up alerts. Okay, so if you really want to put something quickly on, like I want to know when Apple is going to, like right now, we've had a pretty bullish end of the day on Friday for 5 minutes. So I'm going to try to get in on a retest here above that candle right there. So what I do is I go over here and you see this little plus button on the right side there where it says 318.43 on the right side. Does everybody see that? Okay. If I click on that plus button, I can quickly add an alert for Apple on the 5-minute. Now you can see these other ones with the EMAs that I have on here. We're not going to get into that, but I'll just click on that and boom. When it turns orange, and I see it started off with gray. Let me delete that so you can kind of see. Because sometimes TradingView with its data gets a little hung, and you don't want to walk away if there's still a gray line. So let me try that one more time and look real closely. When I click add an alert, it'll go from gray to orange. Okay. See how it's gray and then it went orange real quick. It may not be easy to see on the webinar. You may have to go back and watch the recording. But I have had times where I've put an alert on and it has stayed gray for like 30 seconds. And for some reason, that's TradingView still processing, putting the alert on your chart. Make sure that that alert is orange. And I don't think you can change the color of that. Maybe you can. No, you can't. Okay. So before you do anything, make sure that you've got that on there and it's orange, and it will appear also over here on the right side under this alert section. You see right there? And now I know that I've got it. Okay. Right there, crossing 318.44. Okay. And now I can go walk away, and I mean, you can set this up in your broker, obviously, if you know you want to get in. But sometimes you may just want an alert of when Apple's gonna get back down to that area. Okay, and that's a quick way to do it. I like it if I've got a little more time. I'm gonna delete this. I like to click this plus button up here because this gives me a little bit more fine-grained control over how I want my alert to notify me. Okay. Okay. So when I click on this, this brings up the alert panel. Now I can say condition when Apple is crossing the value 318.89. I can change this stuff. I can say crossing up, crossing down, is greater than, is less than. I've never even used some of these other ones, but feel free to play with those. You can really get fancy here. Okay. You can say notify me only one time when that happens. You can notify me every time that happens, every time it crosses that price. Okay. You can set an expiration of when this alert is going to expire, and it's no longer going to be over here in this alert section. Okay. And you can have as many alerts as your paid plan with TradingView will allow. Okay. And I think each one gives you a certain allotted number of alerts. I think mine's like 25 or something like that. Okay. You can leave it open-ended. This is what I really think is cool. And I really want to dig into more of some of this stuff, but like, I want you to alert me on the app. Okay. TradingView has a mobile app and you can put it on your smartphone, which is cool. I want you to show me a pop-up. I want you to send me an email. And if you click on more actions, you can also say play a sound and send an email to SMS. Now this is a neat feature. You can set it up, and I think maybe it's just with the Pro Plus. I may be wrong, but you can actually have TradingView send you an alert as a text using this email to SMS, and so you can have it actually come in as a text message. Okay, and I think if you're on the very highest Pro plan, I think it just comes in as a straight, you put your phone number in and it comes in as a regular SMS. But that's, I mean, it's like I set up everything. I don't want it to not tell me that it crossed this price because I want to know. And so you can set for just this particular alert on Apple, you can set up different alert actions. You can really get fancy with some webhook stuff, and I'm not going to get into that. That's more Matt's area, but you can tie in some webhooks that'll trigger some other things that'll happen when that alert goes off. Yeah, Thor says Pro account sends you a text. Matt says SMS equals text message. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just good old fashioned when someone sends you a text and it's no pictures. It's just, hey, how are you? That's just a regular SMS text. Unless you're on iPhones and you're going iPhone to iPhone, then it's considered what's called an iMessage, and you get the delivered versus read. Anyways, I won't get into all that, but that's, yeah. All right. So let me cancel that. So that's the alerts area, which is really cool. There's a whole nother video, and we've done a lot of stuff on this next button, which is bar replay. It's the instant replay stuff that you've seen Jeremy do. And if you were in the back trading marathon, you definitely know what this does because Jeremy used this quite a bit. But this is how you do your back trading: is clicking this little, I call it the little old school rewind button you used to have on VCRs. Does anybody remember what VCRs are? Um, yeah. I still got one downstairs. The kids keep pushing. They keep putting their fingers into it, saying, "What does this slot do, Daddy?" I'm like, "Yeah, just stick your finger in there a little bit more. You may not get it out, kid." So, anyways, you click on this button, and up pops the instant replay area, and you'll instantly get this little red bar. Basically, if you want everything from this red bar to the right to disappear, click on that candle right there, and all of a sudden, everything disappears. And now you can step through and you can do candle by candle. Okay. In the past, you can just hit the play button, just let it do its thing, which is really slow. You might want to speed up a little bit. Yeah, like that. Or you can just go back to real time and then cancel it out. Okay. So that's the instant replay. We've got plenty of other stuff that we've got videos on how to do that. So, but that's that button right there. Undo and redo is great if you accidentally put something in your chart and now you don't know how to get rid of it, and you're like, whoops, how do I get rid of that? Just like in Microsoft Word, just hit undo or Control Z and it goes away. Okay. Okay, where are we at? 10:40. Okay. This button right here is where you can select your multiple layouts. Okay. And what it means, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. This is where you can do your split screens. I don't know why they call that, but you can do where you can put your charts. Like if you're looking at five different or four different time intervals, a 5 minute, a 15, an hour, and a daily. You don't have to keep flipping back and forth between those things up here. You can set up a split view. Okay. So if I want to do a 4 by, right here, all of a sudden it splits my screen into 4. And if I click down here and I want my bottom right one to be a daily, I just click down here until I see that blue outline around this box. So I know that this is the active box. And if I click on daily, then it puts this box down here into a daily view. If I want this one up here to be, it's already the 5 minute, we'll leave it that one. Let's make this one in the bottom left, and I'm clicking just in some open space, because if I click on like the moving average line, it's going to highlight the moving average line. So I try to click in white space here. You can make that one your 15 minute, and then this one can be like, let's say, your 3 minute. Okay, and when the market's open, both of these charts will be in sync, and you'll be able to see how Apple's playing out on the 3, the 5, the 15, and the daily. And depending on your screen monitor size, this is either going to be really nice or it's going to be really compressed, and it's going to make you just pull your hair out. So I would only set this up based on what your screen will allow you to do. And if you have multiple monitors, great. Set it up on, multiple monitors, or set up on an external monitor if you want. Okay. And so I'm going to go back here. If I'm going to go back to a one view, and you can also sync on all charts the symbol, the same time interval, and the same time. Then that's what you would do, and the same drawings as well. You can do that. You can get real fancy with that if you want. But I'm just going to go back to one chart, and let's go back to Apple. Okay. Okay. So this button right here, as you can see, I have some unchanged. This is great. I have some unchanged, unsaved changes that have not been saved right there. And you see that cloud moving? Boom. Hope you caught that. Now it's a check mark. So this is TradingView letting you know that it's saving whatever you're working on to the cloud. And if it's not saved yet, you saw a little kind of a dashed cloud. Let me take off this EMA and let's see if it does it. Yeah, there it goes. So anytime you make a change, it'll show up as a little dashed looking cloud. And that is where I was talking about, where you can force it to save, or if you just wait for every, what do I have it set on? Auto save every 2 minutes, then it'll save this every 2 minutes. So if something were to happen right now and my browser was to crash, it's not going to remember that I took that EMA off just now. It's going to reload whatever the last save point was on my layout. Now I can click this button, force it to save it, and there, now it's saved. And I get a little bit, being a scientist, I get a little anal about that. I'm always up here like click, 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 click. I just want to save everything. But that's what that means up there as well. You can load your other charts if you've got other layouts and you're on a paid plan. I've got a ton down here. I've got Matt's naked put indicators, its own layout. I just like for that to be on its own separate layout. Okay. So that's what that's for. If you want to load a different layout, remember, layouts is completely new drawings, completely new everything. You can have different layouts for different things you're testing out or whatever. Okay. We already talked about the gear. And this is where a lot of folks are like, how do I get my pictures into Slack? I want to show people my charts. This is where you can do it. Well, this is one of the ways you can do it. You can take a snapshot picture. Instead of taking a desktop screenshot using, whatever program you may use built into your computer or whatever, you can actually let TradingView do it by clicking this little camera icon. And when you do, then it's going to create an image of what you see here, and it's going to put it into a URL. And you can save it to your computer, and then you can use it to draw up, whatever you want to do with it. Or you hit copy, and it says copy to the clipboard, and then you go over to Slack and you can paste it in. And that's how folks do that, is how they get their stuff that they want to share into the main Slack channel. And if I open a new tab here, and I paste what I just copied in my clipboard in, you can actually see it in the browser before you share it. Make sure, yep, this looks good. This is what I want to share. It's Apple on the 3 minute. Yeah, looks good. And then you can paste it. You can also do that as well. It tells you what the size of the image is going to be, 3,000 by 1,600 pixels. So yeah. Publishing, I'm not going to get into, but this is something that was really transformative in the beginning of TradingView back in the day. Beyond the scope of this one, but that's how you would do that is if you want to publish it. Now, this is something they added within the last, what, year? I think, Jeremy, you can record video ideas. That's more of a neat thing rather than a really have to have thing where you can actually record a video yourself talking about your chart analysis and beyond the scope of this. But I think somebody was asking, how did I get the preview of this image? Can you repeat how you preview that image? Okay, so I think what you're asking, Broken, is when I took a screenshot here and it created an image URL, how did I get a preview of it? Well, if you save it to your computer, you can save it to your downloads folder, then open it up and see it that way. Or if you just click copy, and then I just click out of here and I go open a new tab in my browser, then you just go up here and you can paste, and it puts it in up here like it's a URL basically, and then it just opens it up in your browser so you can see it that way. I think that's what you're asking. Okay, so we've covered pretty much this top area, and before we move ahead, is there any questions, anything more in this top area of TradingView? Anything that I maybe missed that a beginner might want to know? Okay. All right, cool. One thing also to point out, as you're moving your crosshair along the candles here, if you look up here, and I'm going to see if I can get my little cool drawing stuff here. Jeremy's a lot faster than I am, man. This area right here is where you can, as you're moving your mouse over the candles, you can see the open, the high, the low, and the close of that candle very quickly. Okay, and so that's really cool as you're kind of looking and you want to like, what is that exact high right there on that candle? Well, you put your cursor over it, then you can see the high was 318.57. So let's go over here now to the left area, which is the drawing tools. Okay, this is a really important area. Okay, so this first button, hardly ever use it. I just leave it on crosshair. I've had no reason really to ever change this. And so I just leave this button on crosshair, and the crosshair is what you currently see when you're moving your mouse. And so it gives you on the horizontal side over here, you've got it gives you the price action as you move up and down, and as you move left to right, it just gives you the time where you're at on a time frame, and also what the candles are showing. Okay, this next button is a very important one. Okay, it's the trend lines. It's how we get our trend lines onto our chart. Okay, now this first button, if you click on it, is not going to give you necessarily a straight horizontal. It's going to give you the ability to do that kind of a trend line. Okay, if you want to do a horizontal trend line, if you click this little arrow, you'll see this little sub message come up called Trend Line Tools. It's right here beside. It's a little tiny arrow. Okay, if you click on that, you'll get more options available to you. Oh, they've added Anchored VWAP. Cool. Just now noticed that. So horizontal line is what we use to put on our support and resistance lines. Okay, and you can click on that, get your crosshair exactly where you want it. So let's say put it right there. Click on the chart, and boom. Okay. And if you want to change the thickness of that line or the color of that line, you can do it two ways. If you right click on it, you can go down here to settings. Okay, and go over here to style and change the color. If you want to put some text, you could put support line 1. Okay, yeah, it puts it right there. Okay, you can also get to the settings for that. If you see this little box pull up here, depending on what drawing tool you're on, you can have it be right here, and so you can quickly change colors this way. Okay, actually let's do this. Yeah, there's a thicker line right there. You can change your settings right here. You can set an alert on that line. You can clone, copy. If I want to copy, okay, I want to go up here and I want to paste it. I can right click and say paste it. Well, actually it doesn't put it where I want it to, but you can clone a line that way to put it wherever you want. And that's actually a resistance line. So we'll say resistance line right there. Okay. And you may want that text to be on the top of the line. And red. There we go. And let's make it a little bit bigger, about 20. Okay. So that's how you get labels to appear on your drawings, like your lines and things like that. Okay. Another quick way to get this onto your chart, and we talked about that in the struggle bus video. Let me undo all this. I'm just going to I'll just delete it. It's the easiest way to do it. Hit the delete button. So if you click on a line, you can either click the little trash can button that pops up here, or you can just hit the delete button on your keyboard. If you come over here and you pull the little thing down, if you notice before you click on it, it's kind of hard to see. And I don't know if I can make it any easier. There we go. So on a Mac, it's Alt-H. If you click the button, I think on Windows, help me Windows people, I think it's also Alt-H, but it'll tell you what the shortcut key is to put a horizontal line. It's Alt only. Okay. Then that way you don't have to keep coming up here, making sure you click a little thing, go down here, click on horizontal line. If you just come down here to this area and you just click on, you hit the Alt and the H button on your keyboard, whatever your last saved template was, or color or thickness of the line, it's going to put that on there. It's going to remember that for you. And so that's how you can quickly, if I'm going to the line chart and I'm backing out, let's go to a day, because I know that's what Jeremy says. And so I want to come down here and I want to frame it. And so here's the lowest point here. I want to put an H there. Okay. Then that's how you can quickly put support resistance lines on your chart. Okay. So here's probably a good one right there. Okay, and then I can flip over to my candles back from my lines, and then I can readjust it to be exactly how I want it. Okay. Does that make sense to folks, what I mean when I say Alt and H? On the Mac, some of the keyboards actually say the word ALT, but then they have that little weird symbol. It's like a little, I don't even know what you call the symbol, but that's the button that you press. Yeah, I love keyboard shortcuts too, Matt. So you can get those and print those up. Let me show you where you can get those. So you don't have to always be looking. You can see what TradingView supports. So if you go up here to the top left, okay, and you click down here, all the way down here at the bottom, okay, it says keyboard shortcut. So again, I don't want to go too fast for folks trying to follow me. If you're up here in the top left-hand corner, very top left, where you got the three little lines, and you come all the way down, click on keyboard shortcuts, you'll get this pop up. And you can find out what keyboard shortcuts, either you can find the shortcut by typing it in, or if you're just looking for stuff that's on the chart, you click on this, and right here it'll tell you what keyboard shortcuts TradingView supports on the chart. So undo is that's Command Z on a Mac, and so on a Windows I believe that's Control Z. So it's going to be different based on a Mac or a Windows. You can add an alert by hitting Alt A. Okay, so all this stuff I've been showing you, there's probably a keyboard shortcut. Although I am a little mad, and I have written TradingView many times, they don't have a keyboard shortcut for one that we use all the time. And Dan was asking about this, the horizontal ray. This is what this drawing over here, which is the next one below horizontal, is how you see Jeremy and Brad and others put on the stop limits, the targets, things like that. A horizontal ray is just a cutoff version of a horizontal line. Okay, and so if I go here and let's see where we're on a daily. If Apple, which is probably not, it's going to come back here. If I want to get into that where it hits, tries to fill that gap right there, I could put my mouse and click on it, and it gives me a horizontal, what's called a ray. Okay, and I can stretch that out as much as I want. Okay, and the way that you save these, okay, mine come in as green because that's the last thing that I used, is you can either right click and go to settings, you can double click on it, or you can use this little quick access toolbar, okay, to change how you want it to look. Okay, so this is more of a green for me, is like a target. So I'm gonna set a target up here, like right below 330. Okay, and so I want to save this as a template. I want to have this to use in the future when I'm setting targets on my chart. Okay, so if it wasn't green, I'd want to make it green. I'd want to set the thickness of the line. How thick do you want the line to be? Okay, I like it pretty thick. Do you want it to be a dashed line or a solid line? Okay, and then the settings is where you want the text to show up. So this would be how Jeremy gets stuff like target 1, target 2, whatever. I like targets to be under the line because most of the time if you're going long, the target's going to be above your candles, and so you want to see the text probably below the line. Okay, so you can see right there, it's in the center of the horizontal ray. So I'm going to click text align or text left. Let's see, it puts it right there. when I click left, this is kind of like a Word document kind of stuff. How do you want the text to appear? Okay, how big do you want the text to be? You know, you want it bold? Do you want it unbold? Okay, so when you get it like you want it, and this is very important, and we showed this in the struggle bus, but I'm going to go through it again. You want to save this as a template so you can quickly get to that later. That same color, the same text, everything. Click on the template button. Okay, and I'm in the settings, so let me make sure I get everybody where we need to be at. I'm on this button right here, settings, or if you double click on the line, you're going to get to this same window. Okay, click on the template and save as. Okay, and call it what you want it to call it. Target 1. Okay, and when you hit save, I may already have that in there. No, I didn't. Okay, there it is. Okay, it gets saved as a template. So if I'm going and I'm creating another whatever, let's color this red, let's call this a stop, whatever, stop 1 and red. I'm just changing this up like I'm doing something totally different. Okay, now if I want to, maybe I've got a stop here and I want to clone this. Okay, and now I want to go up here and I want to make this my target. Well, I don't need to go through and do all that, changing the color, changing the text. As long as this is highlighted, you see, and it's going to have that little blue circle on the end of it, then I can go over here, click on this button called templates. It's in this little quick access button, pull this down, and if I go down here to target 1, boom, you see what it did? It changed everything. It changed the color, it changed the text. I didn't have to do anything but just literally click 2 buttons. Okay, is that pretty cool? Let's see if there's any questions. Yep, just use the star tab to get the horizontal ray shortcut. Yeah, so that's good. I'm gonna show that, Thor. So if I'm in here and I don't want to have to, let me get rid of these lines. Okay. If I want to have my own favorites bar of just tools that I want to have quick access to, okay, if you see right here, I've got a star beside horizontal line because I use that quite a bit. You can also put a star beside horizontal line, okay? And I've got, let's see, I think under this one, I'm not going to get into this. This is getting into advanced stuff, but like the fib retracements has got a star beside it, and trend-based fib extension, okay? If you want to have these tools just be available to you whenever you want them, there's a cool little button down here. It's got a star. It's called My Favorites Drawing Tools Toolbar. Okay, that's where all of those little starred favorite drawings go to. And if I click on that, you see this little box appear right here. Now I've got quick access to putting an array on my chart, a quick way to put fib extensions, fib retracements, and I'm not having to go through here and try to hunt and peck. As long as I can find it one time and put a star beside it, I like this. They got anchored VWAP now, Jeremy. I could put anchored VWAP there now and have it available. Okay, this is what I love about TradingView, and it's not because I think that they're doing something nobody else is doing. They've just spent a lot of time figuring this stuff out, and they've been around a long time, and so they've made it easy. And other software is going to get there. Other online software, I should say. A lot of desktop software has this. Is they're trying to make an online piece of software like a desktop, but that you can get to from anywhere in the world, which is just amazing to me. Okay, so that's how I did it. Does anybody not follow how I lost my favorite bar, now I find, okay, yep, Dr. Phil. So it's right down here. Let me use my cool, that's how Jeremy gets his arrows on here. Aha, is right there. Does everybody see that? Okay, that's how you get your favorites bar to come up of all the different favorite drawings that you have. Yep, this is so great. Yep. I'm glad everybody's enjoying it, and we're going a little bit long. Like I said, I knew it'd go over an hour, but I want to make sure everybody's following me. And if anybody's not getting their questions answered, then make sure you post it, and either I'll get to it or Matt or Jeremy will. Apple is the new money Marley. Yep. Where was the anchored VWAP app? Sorry, man. Jeff, that's actually something I just discovered this morning. But if you go under where the line stuff is, anchored VWAP is right there. Maybe it's been there for a while. I just haven't noticed it because I don't. Once I had my favorites set up, I just don't go over here very often. But it's right there under the second button down from the crosshairs. Okay. Larry says, how do you get the star on the left? Larry, as soon as you put a star beside one of your favorites, here I'll do this. I'll take off all of my stars if I can find them. Let's see, I have fib retracements. Okay, so you're probably seeing this, like there's no star. As soon as you favorite one of these, that star should appear. So I'm going to go ahead and favorite horizontal ray. And do you see that it just came up right down here? Okay. Oh, Jeff says, thank you, got it. Larry, do you see that? Okay. Okay, cool. The rest of these tools, this is how you get your drawings, your rectangles. If you want to put some drawings on here, it's going to have the same kind of tools up here like I've been showing, where you can clone, copy, change the thickness of the line, change the background color. If you want the background color to be, I don't know why that didn't change. Why is that not changing to a yellow? It should be a yellow. It's because I got the opacity down. Ah, that's it. The opacity was down. Yeah. So you can make that there like that. Okay. And we'll delete those. Okay. The rest of this stuff is getting into Elliott wave, but we're not going to cover that. This is definitely cool. This is how you see Jeremy get the R calculations on his chart. If you're going to go long in a position, and this is probably something I want to star and put in my favorites bar in the short position also. Okay, this is how you can let TradingView calculate your R's for you. And Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what you would do: is you would just click on the chart, okay, and I'm going long. Okay, and so my risk reward ratio as it is right now, if I was to set my entry here, and this is not, let's make it like real life, because we're always about real life around here. Okay, so if I wanted to try to get in on a pullback to this gap right here, okay, then I'd want to set my entry right here in the middle. Okay, and my risk reward ratio, my R, is 1 because my stop loss is the same distance. And this is another good question. If you're trying to move your chart up and down and it's not working, it's probably because the auto is on down here in the bottom right. This is another thing I want to make sure people understand. Okay, so down here. So if you turn that off, then you can move your chart around however you want it to. So let me turn that off. Oh, I have to go back to mouse. Sorry. Oh, there we go. And now I can move my chart up and down. Okay. And sometimes if your chart gets real wonky or it looks weird and you've got, I'm going to move my scale up and it's like this or something, and you're like, whoa, what the heck happened? Okay. Well, you can try to click over here and adjust it by clicking and moving up and down your price, or your time. But if you hit the auto button, everything will just snap back and everything will go into the, into the view like you had it before. But that's how you can move your chart around freestyle, is just uncheck that little auto button down there in the bottom right. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the R's, because this is also very, very important. Okay, you can calculate your R's. Well, you probably need to. You need to know exactly what you're going to be putting on as your risk. But to set your targets and your stops, you can use this tool to visually say, I'm going to put my stop right below this white candle. Okay, so for me to get a risk reward of, if I'm going to put it like right there, if I want to get a risk reward of 2.5, what is my target going to need to be? So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to move my target up to 2.5. Do you see that right there, everybody? I want to make sure everybody sees that. Let me get the drawing tool. So right there, it says risk reward ratio 2.5. Okay. So that's how you would use this visual tool. Is you can say, okay, so if that's the case, now I want to set a horizontal ray to put there at that target, so I don't have to leave this whole box on my chart. And so you click on this horizontal ray that I've already put in my favorites bar right here. Remember we did that? Okay, horizontal ray. And now at my target, I can set my target and choose my template and say target 1. Okay, and I can put my stop. I can set another ray right there and change it to stop. Okay, and now I can delete this whole thing off of there. And so now, oops, why does that not work? Oh, I have my auto on. Okay, so now, well, actually I need to probably pull these out. Let me pull these out a little bit. There we go. There we go. Now I know what my target should be and what my stop should be on Apple based on actual calculated positions or visual positions that it puts onto your screen. You can do the same thing with short. If you're going to go short, it's going to be the flip. Your stop's going to be above your entry. okay, this red area here, and your green is going to be your target if you want to set your risk reward based on going short. Okay, and you see that number there in the middle changing. Okay, you can enter your R number in the tool too. Then it'll show the number of shares to buy too. Oh yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah, so if you double click on it, which is what Dr. Phil's talking about, then you can actually set that stuff manually without having to click and drag it. Very cool. Thanks, appreciate that. Yep. Okie doke. Where are we at on time? 11:20. Okay, I know this is a lot, but this is good stuff. So the rest of the tools, okay, the measure tool is something that I think is valuable and that Jeremy has done. You can click on that manually and get a measure tool if you want to see how far a stock has dropped. So let's look at how far Apple dropped from late February to late March, okay? So if you hover over the measure tool on the left, it says shift plus click on the chart. Okay, let me get my favorites toolbar moved out here. Okay, so if I want to see from, let's go to this candle right here. If I click on the shift key, if I hold the shift key down, excuse me, and I click, then I can come all the way down to that very low of, and my visual came up there. Okay, and I can see that Apple dropped 35.38% in 24 bars, which is 35 days. Okay. Does that make sense? So you just hold your shift key down and then click, and you can get an estimate real quickly of how far something fell. Or if you want to do it the opposite way, you can also say, well, from that hammer candle, let's put it right here at the close, or close that hammer right there. Then I can click and I can see how far has Apple come up. And Apple has gone, look at that, man, 42%. Yep, since the close of that hammer. Okay, so these are ways that you can quickly get numbers to play with without pulling out a calculator. I mean, that's just not needed anymore. These last ones are just the magnet, edit, draw, stay in drawing mode. We're not going to get into that, but the magnet is if you're putting a drawing and you want it to snap to a high or a low of a candle, you can turn on the magnet. And then if I put my ray on here and I want it to snap, you see how it's kind of snapping? I'm not even near the candle and it just snaps to it. Let's see if I can get it to do it right down here. There we go. It's like snapping to that high. See, my cursor's not even near it, but it's snapping to that high of that candle right there. So that way you get exactly, if you want something to snap exact to a higher or lower, whatever, it does it. And that's all that magnet really means, okay? Okay, I think the other thing I'm going to cover is watch lists. So the watch list is this button over here on the right side. So we've covered everything on the, I think pretty much everything on the horizontal top part, most everything here on the left side, at least for a basics course, I think, to get out for everybody to walk away with. Okay, and so now we're going to go over here to the right side, and this is where you set up your watch list. Okay, it's clicking on that button right there. If it's not already showing, it may already be showing. So if you have a handful of stocks that you want to look at and you don't want to have to keep typing them up here in the ticker box, then you can save them over here. Okay, and I'm going to create a new watch list. Okay, so if you click up here, I've already got one for the SPX and Y because I'm always looking at what the SP 500 is doing and the ETF. If you click this little pull down arrow, you can create a new list. Okay, and that's how you would create it. And I think TradingView already gives you one. You can delete that one. I think it's crap. I don't know. Like Jeremy said, I think they give you a lot of cryptocurrency stuff. You can delete that one if you want to, and just create a new list. Okay, and give it a name. And so you can call it anything you want to call it. I've got one called stocks already, so let's just call it stocks new. Okay, so it doesn't override the one I've already got here. And hit save. Okay, so this has now been created, and I don't have any symbols to fill it up. And it says, doesn't seem you have any symbols in your watch list. You can add those above. Okay, so where this little box is where you're going to put in, is add symbol, is where you're going to start filling up your watch list. And so I like, obviously, Apple, and it's going to give you kind of a duplicate of what you see over there on the left. Okay, and let's put in Google. Okay. All right, and we'll put in Facebook. We'll put in the fangs, as they call it. All right. FA and Netflix. Of course, that's changed now, I think. Amazon's in there now too, but we go Netflix. Okay, so I've got 4 now in my watch list. Okay, I can move these around by just clicking on the one that's already highlighted with the blue and just kind of move it up and down. If I want to make Apple right here below Facebook, okay, that's how you can organize it. Or you can click on the symbol button to click. It'll sort them alphabetically. You can also sort them by last, by the amount changed. So if you want to come in here and see which one has changed the most in a day, you can click this button. And on Friday, Google had the biggest change. It was up $7. But that doesn't really mean a lot when you're comparing stocks. You really want to look at the change percentage, because you want to look at the percent that stock's actually moved up or down. And so you can organize your watch list that way too. And so you can see on Friday, Facebook had the best day at 1.52% up. Okay, and Netflix was down 1.59%. How to do after hours on. Okay, yep, sorry about that, Woodshed. Yep, let me get to that. So real quick, I'm gonna finish up with watch lists. If you click this is kind of new. If you click the little 3 dots beside the symbol, this is where you can add extended hours. I think that's what you actually mean, Woodshed. Maybe you mean the extended hours. But this is also where you can put on the extended hours price on your watch list for the stocks that you're looking at to see how they're doing after hours. So Apple closed at 318.89, but right now, let me move my mouse, it's after hours at 319.06. But that's something Jeremy didn't know. But this gets a little bit busy. If I want to look at extended hours, normally if I've got the stock highlighted, I can go down here and get it as well. You can see like the bid ask right now is around 319. Okay. So the details is something else that comes up when you have your watch list down here. I think you can hide this if you want, but the details below the watch list is where you can get actual details about the company, the range, the day's range of the high-low for the price of the equity. You can click on more, and that gives you, this is kind of TradingView's view on what the analysts are saying right now. That Apple is poised to do on a daily chart. It's a strong buy, and the moving averages are saying it's a strong buy. Take it or leave it. It's their summary of how they'd feel about it. You can also go down here and look at the market cap. So this gets you a little bit more of the financials. And if you click on the more button here, then you can get even more information on the financials of Apple, the price history, 52-week high and low, the balance sheet, like I was showing a little bit of that earlier. You don't have to put that on the chart. You can get to that right here. So anyways, yeah. And of course, headlines is important if you want to keep track of what's going on. This, I have it minimized, but if you click the little gray bar, you can move it up and down. Any of these you can really move. You can kind of move them up and down as you want based on how you want to have yours set up. And you can kind of get the daily headlines for what Apple's doing. You can change where you're getting the headlines from, if it's from StockTwits or Kiplinger. I think headlines is just TradingView's own customized version of headlines. Yep. And this is how we found that one night, was about a month ago, where I was over here looking at Tesla, and up pops in the headlines an article about Jeremy Newsom, and I was like, whoa, Jeremy has made it now, man. One thing I did skip over before we close out today is I want to make sure people do know, and I have a whole video on this, is how do you get the extended hours on? So you have to be under a day, meaning that this button up here has to be less than a day if you want to see extended hours. So if I go down here to the 5-minute for Pinterest, okay, this button right here will show up, EXT. Let's make sure everybody can see that. Right there, the bottom right, EXT should show up. Now with the free version, you do get extended hours, but it's not very accurate. I would highly suggest that you pay for the data in order to get more accurate extended data. But if I click on that, then you'll get the extended data for Pinterest. And there's not a whole lot of pre-market data for Pinterest, unless I'm just not looking at it right. Oh, it's because I don't have the data for Pinterest. Okay, so here's a good question. Let me go back to, or good point. Let me go back to Apple, because I believe I do have that as a data feed. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so do you see right here in the orange area, this is the after hours data, and anything before the day starts is the pre-market data. And there's your session line that shows when the previous day ended and the next day started. Okay, if you don't remember how we can get that to show up, if you click the little gear button, it's this little button right here called Session Breaks under Appearance. Okay, that's how I get that to appear. Okay, now I have bought the market data for Apple because it's under the NASDAQ. I have not bought the data for whatever whatever Pinterest is in. So this is a good segue, and probably I would guess our last one for the basics course is how do I get market data for the stocks that I'm looking at. Okay, so I don't really have any extended data for Pinterest. Okay, if you go right here, you see this little wavy icon. Okay, it's kind of like a we call it estimation sign in science world, but that's what that is. Okay, if you click on this, it's next to Pinterest. Okay, click on that, and it's going to say CBOE BZX. Real-time data for pins is provided by CBOE BZX Exchange. Have no idea what that is. It says it's real time, but it's slightly different from its official counterpart from the primary exchange. If you need more accurate data, please purchase the New York Stock Exchange real-time feed. I don't have the feed. Have not bought New York Stock Exchange. I don't know why, but this is a good way to show how to get market data that you need for the stocks you look at. And so not only will you get a more accurate picture, or you'll get more accurate data, especially when you're day trading. You want to make sure you have the most accurate data. You'll get the pre-market also with it. So if I click on Learn More, it's going to have this whole spew about where their free data comes from and how to get the real-time data. If I click on Upgrade Now, it's going to take me over here to this page for available markets. Okay, I'm going to choose North America. And right here, before I even go to the page where I want to pay, you can see what the price is for all the different exchanges. So ARCA, New York Stock Exchange, and just the stocks is only $2 a month. I mean, come on, it's for real-time data. That's a no-brainer. But you've got all the other ones down here. The CME Globex for futures. This was really eye-opening when they dropped the price of this to only $2 a month. I think I got on and told Thor, I was like, man, you've got to get this, because this used to be $45 a month or something, but I think now they've gone to offering the prices as non-professional. And then I guess if they want you to label yourself as a professional trader, then you would pay the full price. Anyways, but this is where you would look at the price before you actually pay for the data. Okay, let me minimize this. So if I scroll down, okay, you'll say subscribe to real-time markets. You have to click this button to finally get to the page where you want to add the real-time market data for your account. Okay, so even though you may be paying for Pro or Pro Plus for TradingView, you're paying for their features. You're paying for more layouts. You're paying for more alerts. You're paying to get more features with the actual TradingView software. To get the data that feeds the charts, you have to pay that extra market data. And so right here for New York Stock Exchange is $2 a month or $24 a year. Oops. So you just click on that, and when I buy that, okay, so once you do that and you pay for it, then if you come back here to Pinterest and you hit refresh on your browser, that should go away, and then you should have real-time data for Pinterest, and you should see pre-market and post-market data just like I have with Apple, like that. You see, you got a lot more to play with. And this is very important, because this is where you can get your pre-market support and resistance lines like Jeremy and Brad use for the 5-minute before they start to get into a trade. Okay, so that's something I want to make sure everybody knows how to get to that. So I think I'm going to stop right there on showing features, and we're just going to make sure everybody has their questions answered. Okay, so let's go back to the main website, Real Life Trading. Yep. Okay, and so I'm doing a 2-part training. This is the first part on TradingView Basics, but if we scroll down under, I think you have to go all the way down to the bottom, right? Yep, here we go. Okay, so this is what you're in today, TradingView Basics, and you RSVP'd. Next Saturday, I'm going to do one on Slack, okay, which is the communications platform that we use. And if you want to RSVP for it, just click on the RSVP button. It's going to take you over here to the Slack Basics page that we've created, okay, and gives you a description of what we're going to cover in that course, and then what you'll learn as well there. Because we do the 2 big things when people come into real life trading, well, I say 3 now, is getting familiar with the dashboard, getting access to the PM, AM trading room, what you subscribe to, and all the free courses, and then how to use Slack, and how to use TradingView. Those are kind of the three big things we want to make sure everybody that's coming into real life trading feels comfortable with, that they know how to use it. Because if you don't feel comfortable with the tools that you use, then it's going to be really hard to be profitable because you're going to be more frustrated. And we want to take that frustration level out. And if there is any frustration, let it be with the stock market and as you're learning how to become a better trader. Okay, so go into here, and then if you scroll down here, just click on this RSVP now button. And if you're already logged in to the dashboard, you should already it should already say, "Hi Jason, you're logged in as," and here's your email. Click the button below, and if you RSVP, I'll go ahead and do that. Then you're signed up and you'll get an email, and there you go. And that class will also be at 10 a.m. It'll be next Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. So yeah, we're going to try to cover as much as we can, and it pretty much will be most everything that you would need to know in Slack about how to tag people, how to set your notifications, how to set keywords, things that you may not know are there, so that you can get the most out of Slack in real life. So, all right, folks. Well, we're done. Have a great Saturday. We'll talk to you later.